Alright, so in the previous video, we saw the basics of setting up periodic noise. So in this one, we'll make a small project. Okay, so we at least know, what you can do with periodic noise, or how you can generate a proper sort of tileable shader using periodic noise. So this is what I'm going to make, which is like sand and rocks. Now this is done using height fields, and you can see that it is tileable. Okay, like there is a minor seam in there, but I think that you can sort of take care of in, I don't know, Photoshop or Substance Alchemist or something like that. So one of the reasons I'm doing it through height fields is because it allows you to sort of mix layers much more easily. Like you don't need to do everything within a single warp. Okay, like I can break up all the elements into different warps and then just mix them together. But yeah, this is primarily what we're going to do. So to get started, so it's broken up into two major sections. Like you have the rocks here, and then you have the sand. And then these two things eventually get mixed together to form this. Okay, and then we'll do the coloring and stuff. Okay, so to get started, I'll just create the coloring, of course, isn't really important because eventually you're going to do coloring in Substance Painter or Quixel Mixer or something like that. I'll do another video for that. Okay, like I'm still trying to figure out Quixel Mixer a little bit, but it's nice. So I'll do another video on using Quixel Mixer. Okay, so we'll start off with creating a height field. I'll keep it at 1 for now. I don't make any changes, it's fine. At 1000 by 1000, it's perfectly fine. And we're going to take a warp. So we'll take a height field warp. And I'm going to build a mask. Like I won't directly affect the height. We'll build a mask so that later on we can also save it out to a different layer. Okay, which we can then use, like when we bake out all the textures, it'll be useful in Substance Painter or Quixel Mixer. Okay, so let's call this as rocks, and I can jump in. And what I want is, I don't need any of this stuff. I can actually get rid of this as well. Create a bind export, call it mask. Okay, so if you create a mask and then, as we've seen before, like if I take a constant, this is the simplest way to check it. Like as I increase the value, this will turn red. So we have a mask. So what you want is, like if you remember the previous lesson, the general rule of thumb is that it has to be in multiples of 3. Okay, so it's either 333 or 666 or whatever. Like you can have 363. But you can't have like a 3-4, okay, or a 4-4-4. Like that will not tile at all. Okay, so you are kind of you have to work within a limited range. Okay, but it's okay. Like it's better than nothing. Okay, so I'll just take a unified noise, and instead of taking position, take the bounding box. Okay, so take the bounding box and drop it in position, and then we'll take a fit range. And I'll plug this out to mask. So we should see something. Okay. Is this okay? Sorry. I think, yeah, I need to take unified noise static. I took unified noise. Unified noise is slower, okay, for processing. So usually you should take unified noise static. Okay. And what I'm going to do is we'll make it periodic, and let's keep this to 3, 3, and 3, and here as well. And we will set this to Whirly F2, F1, and give it a little bit of like standard FBM. I'll lower the roughness. I'll also lower the octaves. And what I want to do is I want to give it I want it to be flat. Okay, on top, and then I want the sides to be a little more sort of smooth and curved out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a ramp. Okay, so we'll take a ramp parameter. I'll call it rock shape. I'll set this to spline, and we'll pick this up in here. Okay, and so I can so the first thing is, let's just shape this up a little bit. So I'll just bring this up over here. And in the fit range, I need to sort of control it a little bit more. Okay, so it'll be a little bit like that. Okay, no, I need a little more gap here. Yeah, I think this is okay. You can modify it and move it around. So let's move it around 30. No, let's try another one. Okay, so if we just want to test this, take a height field pattern, and what you want to do is this is the simplest way to just extrude a mask. So set this to ramp and keep both these values to 1, and that's pretty much it. Like, connect this into both, and we'll also just take a clear mask so we can, so that I don't see the red stuff. But there you go, you've extruded this. So this is the simplest way to go about doing it. Okay, but what I want is, I don't want these sides to be this sharp. So, which is where the ramp comes into play. So what I can do is, I can take this and I can make it, like B-spline. And I can just, see, so you can sort of smoothen it out like that. Okay, now the other thing I want to do is, I don't want the tops to be like entirely flat. I want to break those up a little bit as well. So I'll come back into the rocks and I'm going to pick up another unified noise, the same one. So I'll just take this, do Control-C, Control-V, except this will be smaller. So we'll make it like 9 in frequency. Let's put another fit range here. And I can just multiply it with this. So just take a multiply and I can just do a multiply. Let's do a, yeah, okay, we'll just do a multiply straight up. See, so there you go. So that's what will happen. But what I want is, like, I don't want these to drop down completely to the ground. So firstly, I can just, flatten it a little bit like that. And then take the destination minimum and increase it. So it's not like lying on the ground, like we don't want it like completely over there. Just increase it enough. So it breaks up the top, like the tops are not flat, but they're not at ground level either. Okay, so there you go. So this forms, the basic shape that we want. And I can also kind of increase this a little bit. No, actually just reduce that. Yeah, I think this is good. If you don't want the stuff in the middle, you can just flatten it out over here. See, there you go. So that takes care of it. Okay, now what I want to do is, I want to create 2 layers out of this. Okay, so one is, I want this shading to remain. So I'll create that as one layer. And then another one I want is, I just want it completely, like, completely flat red. So that I can use as a mask. Okay, because if this remains like this, then there's a chance that the sand will sort of peek through. So we don't want that. Okay, so what I can do is, firstly, I'll just do a copy layer. And let's call this as rocks. And then I'm going to take a remap. So take a height field remap, call it mask, and plug this in. And just lower the input till it's completely like, flat red like that. And then take another copy layer, and this we will call as rock mask. And then we can clear this. So just do a clear. Okay, so this gives me like, decent looking rocks that we want. Okay, so this is one. Okay, so I'll just do a Shift L. Let's see if I can be a little more organized this time. So I'll create like a network box for it. And let's see if I can color this. Actually, I'll color the network box. Yeah. No, wait a second. Yeah, I don't want those to be yellow. No, that's a terrible color. Okay, so, and we'll call this as rocks. I'm usually not this organized. Okay, like anybody who's been following my tutorials, I'm just terrible at organization. So now let's take another one. So we'll take another height field warp. This will be the sand. So we'll call it sand. And what we want to do is the same stuff, like delete this, delete that. Take a bind export. We'll call it mask. And what I want is, I want to generate like a ramp. Okay, which is just generating like, straight lines like that. So we're going to take the bounding box and I'll do a vector to float. And we'll take a ramp. So take ramps, R-A-M-P-S. Plug this into the U and plug that into amount. So you'll get this. And then get the frequency up to, or let's try Y. Yeah, okay. Get the frequency up to around 30. So you'll get like, repeating lines like that. But what I want is, I don't want this like flat thing happening here. I want a little bit of a shape to this. So we'll again pick up a ramp parameter in the middle. I'll call it dune shape. This will be a spline. Okay, so come up here, and what we want is like, let's set both of these to be spline again, and just up it like this, and we'll shape it a little bit. So I can take this and shape it like that. Yeah, now you get that line in the middle, which is irritating. Okay, but what we can, like, you have to do a little bit of work to get rid of it. So we can make the blur to 1, but it will still show up. So what you want to do is, after this, take a slight blur. Okay, so take a height field mask blur and just blur it slightly, like not that much, just a little bit, and that will get rid of it. Okay, and then take a height field pattern again. So we'll do Control C, Control V, and I can plug this in, and there you go. Okay, this is a bit too much, so lower it. Okay, so this gives me like the basic dunes that I want, but it needs to be wavy. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll come in here, and what you want to do is we can add the bounding box with a noise map. So take a unified noise static. Again, we'll put in the bounding box here. We'll keep this to Perlin, periodic, and let's make it 12. I can add it to this. So I can add it here, and we'll call this, we'll make it 3D input, 3D noise, and there you go. Okay, now what you want to do is put like a multiply constant in the middle and just lower the amount. Yeah, there you go. So you get like, it's actually not a bad wood pattern, but yeah, if it's small enough, it's okay. See, there you go. You see those dots? Yeah, that's because of the ramp. So you need to increase that enough till it goes away. Yeah, sorry, wrong layer, but there you go. See, so that gets rid of it. So now if we come in here, see you get those dots in the middle, like that's the irritating bit, but I can get rid of that. Yeah, okay. And then we can come in here and maybe like, expand this out a little bit if we want. Yeah, so having a ramp in the middle helps, you can like shape things up a lot better. And then I'll do the same thing. I'll just do a copy layer, and we'll call this as dunes. And if we want to check, we can check this, right? So I can do a copy and transform, and we'll make it 1000 because the size of a height field is 1000 by default. And there you go. We have a decent bit of a repeat pattern in there. Okay. Or if we make it 1000 this way, and I can check the same thing here. Yeah, forget the shading because you're not supposed to like copy them like that, but there you go. It repeats. Okay, so now that this is done, we don't want to clear the mask here because we will need it. Yeah, so what I can do now is, let's do one more. Okay, I'm going to take another warp. This will be for distortion. Okay, so we'll just call it, because the point is everything that you do has to be periodic. Like if anything is not periodic, it will not repeat, it will not tile. Okay, so which is why I'm doing everything through a warp. So just as a final thing, what I'm going to do is take another unified noise and bounding box. Yeah, and I'll just keep this to, let's do Perlin again. I'll give it a little bit of noise and periodic, and let's make it 6, and bind export mask. Yeah, okay. And then the same thing here. So Control C, Control V, and yeah, so this will be useful for distortion. So again, I'll take this and we'll call it as dunes, and we'll call this distort. And let's see if we can color them. Okay, so now the first thing is we need to mix these together. So take a layer. So you'll get a height field layer, and This comes in here, that goes in there, and then the mask comes into the third one. And if you've done everything right, there you go, everything mixes. We can now clear everything, so we can do a mask clear, and that's fine. So see, there you go. You can take some of this, and if you want, you can sort of adjust the heights of these how much you want. Let's try something. I'm going to add like noise to this. Yeah, that's not bad. We'll lower the roughness. Okay, now as a final thing, let's distort this a little. So I'm going to take a distort. So say take a height field distort by layer, and we can plug this in. But the only thing is we'll have to do it 3 times, because we not only need, or 4 times actually, because we have the rocks and the rock mask and the dunes. So we'll have to distort those as well. Okay, because if you just distort the height, when you bake out the textures, they won't match. Okay, so because each layer only affects one layer, so you need like 4 nodes to affect all 4. Okay, so we can just drop this in over here, and let's take the displace, we'll make it 10. Okay, not bad. Can try something a little more fancy. Let's try 40. Okay, that's not too bad. You can increase the sub steps to make it smoother, or no. Yeah, I think this is okay. And it's not great. Yeah, this is up to you, like whether you want to do this or not. We can try to sort of rotate it around. Always do a copy after each step, just to see if it's still tiling or not. If it's not, then don't do it. But it will work. Like there's no reason why it shouldn't work. Yeah, there you go. See, everything still tiles. It's fine. But yeah, I'll just keep it to around 10. I think 10 should be good enough. Okay, and then what you want to do is take like 3 more of these. So Control C, Control V. This comes in here. Yeah, click over here, and we want to distort the dunes. You can just copy paste this. So do copy parameter, paste relative reference, and then Control C, Control V. This will be rock mask, and Control C, Control V, and this will be the rocks. Okay, so we have like 4 of these. Alright, now here comes the best part, okay, which is that because everything is using periodic noise, if you use erosion on top of this, it will still tile, okay, which is a great thing. Okay, so if let's do one thing first. Let's say if we just want to visualize this a little bit, like we want to color this. So I can take a height field visualize, and let me just set this up. So I'll do a compute range, get rid of all of this. Yeah, actually this isn't bad, it looks decent. Okay, and what we can do is here, let's take rocks, and we'll set it to like a gray. See, this is the difference. If I take a rock mask, it will be completely flat like that. But with rocks, because it's like semi-transparent, it sort of, gives you a better result. And then here I could probably take dunes, which gives me a little more coloring. Let's make it something slightly better. Okay, it's looking more like wood right now. Yeah, it's definitely looking more like wood. Okay, now here comes the best part, right? So if I take this, and then in the middle, I'm going to just drop an erosion. So let's take an erode. And yeah, we'll turn off the visualize. And what I want to do is, I don't want any hydro erosion. I want thermal erosion, and only about let's do about 4 frames. And the cut angle of 35 is fine. So let's come to frame 4 and see what we get. Yeah, and then in the height field visualize, I could probably take I don't know, let's take debris. See. So what it does, it gives you like a little bit of smoothness. So what was like completely sharp, you can sort of, break up the edges a little bit. Even like 3 frames is good enough. Okay, like you don't need more than that. So I can just freeze this at frame 3 and it should be fine. Or you can like try to lower the cut angle, which is not a smart idea, but you can try that. See. Now, as a final thing, what you can do is you might want to smoothen this out a little bit, but it's fine. Like this is okay. But as I said, like the advantage of this is that, what was completely sharp, you can sort of round it out a little bit using erosion and it will still tile. So if I take a copy and transform and make this 1000, see, there you go, it still tiles. So maybe I can take this to, okay, 19 is a little too much. I think 25 should be good. Just hit reset simulation and it's not 100%, like even without this, it's not really like 100%, but it works. Most of it works. Yeah, okay, let's keep it about 35. I think 35 should be good. Yeah, there you go. So as I said, like the advantage is that, you can, instead of having like completely sharp borders, you can, round it off a little bit. It looks better. And now as a final thing, what we'll do is I'll just take this and make it around, let's try 0.4. And because it's frozen, you'll have to hit reset here. Only then it will sort of calculate through everything. Yeah, there you go. See, that looks nice. Yeah, see, this is the difference. Like if you do rocks, then you can see the, like those lines, the dune lines sort of come through. And this is if you do rocks. Sorry, this is if you do like rock mask. So it just fills up the whole thing. But anyways, we are not going to color here. Like we're not doing anything at this point. Okay. But yeah, finally after, like I made that original training in, I think 2017 or something. And I didn't know how to do like tileable noise back then. But yeah, finally after all of these years, I figured out how to do tileable noise. And it, as I said, it works about 90%. I will definitely have to do more work on it in either Substance Alchemist or Photoshop or something to get rid of this one seam line. But yeah, it's like 90% there, or actually like 99% there. Alright, so this is a small correction to this video. If you've seen lesson 9, which is periodic noise, then you kind of already know, the mistake that I made. So I'm just repeating the same thing here, which is you don't need to be in multiples of 3. So which is advantageous because if you feel like these rocks are too small, which they kind of are, and if you want them to be bigger, then we can go below, 3, 3, 3, right? So if I just want to make it, let's say 1, 1 and 1, that will be better. So we'll get like, big rocks. And let's take this and I'll make it 2. So if you want to have like, larger rock sizes, then you can do that. Okay, so as long as the values remain in integers and you're not using simplex, it will still tile. Okay, so let it just cook and then I can show you the final result. Okay. So yeah, so there you go. So like if I look at this, see, it still tiles. Okay, so what I'll do is next lesson I'll bake this out and I'll do shading in, we'll do Quixel Mixer, like that's free, so you can just download it and try it out, because I don't know if everyone has access to Substance Painter, or I'll do both, like for those who have access to Substance Painter, they can just, do it with that. Okay, that's pretty much it.